The conference room buzzed with conversation, but Sam stood frozen by the refreshment table. 3 colleagues chatted nearby, people he needed to connect with for his upcoming project. His mouth went dry. What would he say? Would they think his ideas were stupid? Would there be that awful silence that feels like it lasts forever? Sam checked his watch, calculating how soon he could leave without seeming rude. This moment, this hesitation, might seem small. But these tiny retreats from social connection add up over time, don't they? They become the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we're capable of. You know this feeling. The tension in your chest before speaking up in a meeting. The mental rehearsal of conversation starters before a party. The relief when plans get cancelled and you can stay home instead. The subtle art of looking busy on your phone to avoid small talk. When did talking to people become so complicated? The truth is, it's not just you. According to research from the National Institute of Mental Health, social anxiety affects about 15 million American adults. Even those without clinical anxiety report feeling uncomfortable in social situations regularly. Let's consider what's really happening in these moments of social discomfort. Your brain, that incredible machine designed to keep you alive, treats social threats like physical ones. Rejection, judgment, or embarrassment trigger the same alarm system as physical danger. Your amygdala, the brain's threat detector, doesn't distinguish between a predator and the possibility of saying something awkward. Both feel dangerous. Marcus Aurelius understood this when he wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Your mind creates elaborate worst-case scenarios that rarely come true. The conversation you're avoiding is usually far less threatening than the one you've imagined. Think of the last time you met someone new. You probably focused on how you were coming across, your words, your body language, whether you were talking too much or too little. This self-consciousness creates a mental traffic jam, making natural conversation impossible. The irony? The person you were talking to was likely caught in their own similar thoughts. This phenomenon has a name, the spotlight effect. Research by psychologists Thomas Gilovich and Kenneth Savitsky found that we consistently overestimate how much attention others pay to our appearance and behavior. We feel like we're on stage with a spotlight shining on our every flaw, while most people are too busy worrying about their own spotlight to notice. But knowing this intellectually doesn't always help in the moment, does it? Let me share what helped Sam, and might help you too. Sam discovered that the root of his social discomfort wasn't a lack of social skills. It was his relationship with himself. Each awkward conversation reinforced his belief that he was somehow deficient. This created a cycle. Anxiety led to awkward interactions, which confirmed his fears, which increased his anxiety. The breakthrough came when Sam realized something profound: perfect social interactions don't exist. Even the most charismatic people have awkward moments. The difference is they don't assign those moments the same meaning. Consider Bill Gates. Despite his success, he's known to rock back and forth when thinking deeply in conversation, a behavior many would try to suppress. Yet his willingness to be himself, quirks and all, hasn't hindered his impact. The first step toward easier conversations is accepting that discomfort is part of the experience, not a sign that you're doing something wrong. Psychologist Marissa Franco calls this normalizing. When you recognize that social discomfort is universal, it loses some of its power. It's like swimming in cold water. The initial shock passes if you don't fight it. The second step is shifting focus outward. Dale Carnegie understood this decades ago when he wrote, "How to Win Friends and Influence People." The secret to being interesting is being interested. When you're genuinely curious about the person in front of you, self-consciousness fades. Try this experiment. In your next conversation, set an intention to learn 3 interesting things about the other person. This gives you a purpose beyond performing well and turns your attention toward them rather than your own internal critic. The third step involves reframing rejection. Every interaction carries the possibility of rejection. That's the price of connection. But rejection rarely means what we think it does. Someone being distracted, uninterested, or even rude usually reflects their state of mind, not your worth. The Stoics had a term for this: dichotomy of control. You can control your actions and intentions, but not how others receive them. Focusing on what you control brings freedom. Sam began putting these ideas into practice. He started with low-stakes interactions, asking the barista about their day, complimenting a colleague's work, sharing an honest opinion in meetings. He still felt the familiar tension, but he acknowledged it rather than trying to eliminate it. Gradually, his social muscle strengthened. Not because the discomfort disappeared, but because he learned to act alongside it rather than waiting for it to pass. This approach mirrors what psychologist Susan David calls emotional agility. The goal isn't to feel confident before acting, but to make room for uncomfortable emotions while moving toward what matters. This doesn't mean forcing yourself into overwhelming situations. Start where you are. If large groups are terrifying, begin with unknown conversations. Progress happens through manageable challenges, not through avoidance or excessive pressure. Remember also that authenticity connects more deeply than perfection. Research shows that revealing vulnerability, making a mistake and acknowledging it, admitting when you don't know something, showing genuine emotion, actually increases others' perception of your competence and character. When Sam finally approached his colleagues at that conference, he didn't pretend to be ultra-confident. Instead, he simply said, "I've been wanting to talk with you about the Henderson project, though I'll admit I've been overthinking what to say." That honest opener led to one of the most productive conversations of his career. The poet David Whyte describes this beautifully. The conversation is not about the work, the conversation is the work. The quality of your connections defines the quality of your life and work, not how flawlessly you navigate them. Social comfort isn't about eliminating awkwardness but about continuing the conversation despite it. It's about creating enough safety within yourself that you can stay engaged even when discomfort arises. Next time you feel that familiar hesitation before speaking up or reaching out, remember, the discomfort isn't a warning sign. It's just the sensation of growing beyond old limitations, of becoming more fully yourself in the presence of others. The person across from you isn't expecting perfection. They're hoping, just like you, for a moment of real connection in a world where such moments are increasingly rare. So take a breath. Step forward. Begin the conversation that might change everything.